We are live on this fantastic Tuesday evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you're watching this somewhere. The world is a mysterious thing, but welcome to another rendition, episode, television programming, of the All Elite Ensemble, your weekly AEW review show here on the BC WrestlePod Network Syndicate conglomeration, YouTube, Twitchdom podcasting thing we do every single day of the week, except for Thursdays and Saturdays on occasion. Sometimes. So far, Thursdays are reserved for like all the other promotions we review, and Saturdays are reserved for watch-alongs. But welcome. I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and joining me this week for All Elite Ensemble is my good friend, Mr. Kata, himself, L. Keeping the food puns alive. I loved it.
I'm proud of that one. That one took me a little bit. I was like, there we are. So yeah, glad to be here, Mikey. 3 weeks in a row. I feel like I've rejoined the team officially now.
I shouldn't tell you then. You're canceled. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I would take that as an actual threat if it wasn't the fact that Professor again is not here. So what are you gonna do? You're stuck with me.
That is very true. But to be fair, the professor is out living his best life. He's doing fight choreography. He's teaching it, I should say. So
I understand that. I'm also teaching stuff, and yet I can still make these calls. So I don't know.
Hear that, Ginger?
We have this beef going on that he just really doesn't want to because I'm joking and he's feeling really guilty about not being here. So it's just going to continue down the road until one of us actually throws fists at somebody for some reason, and it's going to look really great, and neither of us are going to hit each other because we're too good at being stage combatants to do that. So that's the fun part.
If you want to see that, subscribe to the Patreon.
Hey, if you want to see us choreograph a fight, choreograph an actual like inside wrestling ring fight, because we're both gonna have to wear the stupid things anyways, the singlets. We may as well just put something together, and then like I'll fly out there, he'll fly out here, we'll do something.
Oh, absolutely. So that would be fantastic. Speaking of wrestling singlets, we are coming to the end of our predictions league, so stay tuned because things are about to get crazy during April when we figure out who's our losers and winners of the predictions league.
It's me, but on top of that, I want to do my Hardy Compound match against the Professor now.
Yes. So, I mean, here's the thing. The problem is that pretty much almost everyone here has no shame. So it's not really a punishment, and it might be fulfilling some sort of, we'll just say repressed desires, and we'll leave it at that. But
the downside is it's going to ride up in certain places that some of us just haven't really thought of for years. And I'm going to at least have a 7-year-old who's going to go ahead and make fun of me for a while for it. So it'll be fun.
Hey, you know what? Most of y'all were free agent signings anyways.
I'm still waiting for my first contract to come up. I have time added on for injury time I just had.
For reals. I'm keeping you here and you have no choice. You have to fulfill your obligation for being gone for a couple months So without further ado, let's just jump straight into our review. We're going to kick things off with this past Wednesday's episode of AEW Dynamite. We were still in the West Coast here. So AEW Dynamite was in, I believe it was North. I know it's up north because they had all their Southern California shows the previous week. So
Northern.
Yeah. So, but Kenny basically thanks the fans. He didn't know. He says that he didn't know that if he was really going to be able to come back to the ring due to his diverticulitis and how much of his intestinal tract they had to remove for it.
Exactly.
So good on Kenny, because I am glad that he's doing okay, because we collectively know different folks, whether they are closely related or just friends of ours that we have known to go through that. And it is a lot, or we ourselves have gone through it ourselves.
Yes, indeed.
So it is not a fun thing.
Intimately, it is not fun. But yes, he thanks the fans for that, for giving him his thing back. Thanks the ability to come back, and thanks actually Takeshita for proving to him that he could be back as well. This is full on like, I am going to now push myself harder in my later years of my career because now I've had my trial run with the hardest person to fight.
That was such a fun match at Revolution. The other thing that Kenny lets us know is that we're having this whole entire international tournament to figure out who Kenny is going to face for the international championship at Dynasty on April 6th. So we'll get into that in a little bit because we had 2 of our 4 matches this week on Dynamite, the other 2 being on Collision. So they did not waste time with all of this, which I was kind of happy.
What time did they waste? We're what, two weeks away from Dynamite Dynasty?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So get the ball rolling. Fantastic. Quick turnaround time. I'm used to this because of TNA, but some folks on the internet are not. But that is okay. So I will say that Kenneth is for the people because he was, before he even started the promo, even afterwards, he was signing things. He told that one kid that he would come back afterwards to sign it. I was like, Kenny Omega, you are for the people. I love you.
Until he has that face-to-face on the way out of the ring after doing, I love also, he did his good night bang taunt that he does at the end of stuff he says, and then Excalibur's like, well, there's actually a lot more to go on. It's not good night for us this evening, just for Kenny.
I was like, damn it, Excalibur, we were doing so good.
But he has a close run-in on the ramp with the Ops, and specifically one Tori Chibata, who I'm kind of looking for. He's in the tournament. Let's see how he does.
Well, spoiler alert, we may or may not be mad when we get to Collision, but
I was trying to, that's called burying the lead there, bud.
We'll talk more about that when we get Collision, but you are right. We did have a stare down with Kenneth and the Ops, specifically Ciabatta Bread himself. But speaking of Ciabatta, the Ops have a squash match and they win. Like, that is our first match. There's nothing more I can say. Shout out to Samoa Joe, though. I got to him in the Yakuza game and he terrifies me as an in-game villain. It is fantastic.
Looking bored on that ring apron right there.
Yeah, but Ciabatta Bread and the squad of the Ops pick up the victory here.
We expected nothing less from this. And I do still enjoy the AEW does it where they do the cross like segments into the other segment to like lead to other things. It was brilliantly done. Really a good job on that. So
yes,
go back and watch that transition. It's wonderful.
It really is. It felt seamless. It was great. We didn't have a commercial break to break it up. So it was very nice. So hopefully this means that the Ops down the line might be trios champs. We'll figure that out as soon as AEW figures out what it wants to do with the Death Riders. But I digress. Nobody knows. Oof. I didn't even put it here, but also I'm just going to say this now because I don't want to talk about it later. But the fact that we get an announcement that Cope is getting a rematch against Moxley in a street fight tomorrow night before Swerve cuts a promo backstage to even set that up was ridiculous.
On top of the fact that was this the match you were supposed to have at Revolution, but because we had so many other hardcore matches, you just thought, oh, it's going to get lost because it did.
Whatever. So let us move on from this. And that is all I'm going to talk about, the Moxley and Cope. We're getting that match tomorrow night, so we'll see what happens. Also, Powerhouse Hobbs and Hologram pick up a victory here against Adolfo's baby daddy, Brian Cage, and Dralistico. I'm not going to lie, this was a little sloppy, but I still enjoyed parts of it. There was a little bit of miscommunication on all parts around, but you know what?
They gave it their all in this, and I honestly like the combination of Hologram and Hobbs. It's like the big little tag team I want. So maybe if we can see this down the line somewhere else, is kind of like a Hookhausen hookup would be fun, but these two need to go their own ways for now.
Yeah, I think what we've been doing with them as a team up and everybody else involved with this, with Commander and everybody else, I think it's time to push everything. And I think we might get to that. Whether or not I like it will...
Let's talk about putting the women's division on blast. The best way to wrap up her last little bit with Mariah and telling them all to put their keys in the bowl. The orgy's about to begin. I love you, Toni Storm, and your insane zaniness and just no need to be anywhere near the point. This is everything I need and more. I can't wait for her next opponent.
Which
makes a lot of sense that she's been winning a lot of matches. Just saying.
Okay, so here's my theory. I don't think we get this match until maybe like a Double or Nothing, or even after that.
You don't think she's the fill-in for Dynasty to get there so we can get to y'all in?
You know, I would say that I would not be surprised if we see Megan Bayne versus Toni Storm for this title at Dynasty, but I feel like it's kind of a waste. But I have to remember this is AEW and the women's division, so yeah, I would not be surprised. But hey, you know what? I'm not gonna be mad. I love Megan. And so does Andrew, and we love seeing her here. So we're going to talk about her later in the episode, too. She was busy and booked this week.
That's very true. I want to ask you, though, Mikey, do you think if we're pushing this for Dynasty, that there's going to be a lot of interference by Penelope Ford, or do we think that she'll be left out of this and not really be near the title picture until they drag her back down to the dregs?
So in my perfect little world, I think that if we get it at Dynasty, I would not be surprised if there's outside shenanigans, because Megan has kind of made a couple of enemies over the last couple of weeks. I mean, she's aligned herself with P. Ford, so Penelope Ford, but she's made enemies of Thunder. She's made enemies with Chris, and to a certain extent, she's made enemies with Willow. So that is a quite a laundry list of women to kind of make mad and to kind of destroy.
And the Death Riders.
Well, see, the sad part is that at least Megan is wrestling on television. I have to watch Marina defend her Defy Wrestling Championship to see her wrestle.
Unfortunately.
Which she's great, though.
I believe they are hot-shotting her for Dynasty because they have nothing else in the tank. They're going to ruin and use up Megan Bayne early and then hopefully build her up to be a Jamie Hayter precursor for when she gets her stuff back. Because I feel like at Y'all In or Double or Nothing, it's going to be Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, once we get that visa issue fixed, I honestly think that I'm going to be honest, I don't see Tony holding this title for very long this time around because she's done everything that she can for this chapter of the character. And I honestly think it's Jamie Hayter's time.
You know what? I sat back the other day, and correct me if I'm wrong or if this wouldn't be amazing booking. And everyone out there watching this too, later on, drop a comment down if you feel like this would be fun. Tony's a movie star, right? She is the quintessential movie star. She's going to then usher in by beating Mercedes Moné, the golden age of television with the television title.
I would love that more than anything and switch from a film star to a TV star.
Well, and not even switch. It's she'd follow the career of a failed movie star. Like, you've gone past your prime in movies, so you start doing television. So now I'll be the TBS champion holder because it's the television champion, or even the ROH television champion would be hysterical for her to do, and it wouldn't denigrate her character at all. It would be a logical progression of this bizarre character.
That would be so great. But we are teasing Megan and Tony, whether it's at Dynasty or later down the line. I am super excited about all of it.
I'm
so great.
I'm putting it in right now. I'm making this prediction.
Yes, we're going to put a pin in this, and who knows? We have had crazier predictions happen. Looking at the professor and his crazy Nostradamus pick from WrestleMania when it was at SoFi with a McMahon blowing out his quads. Oh, Shane. Snoop Dogg saved that segment.
Yes, he did. Anyhow.
So we get our first international championship elimination tournament match, right? And it's the Beast Mortos representing Mexico taking on a wild card, which it was going to be announced for this.
WC country? What the hell's the WC country?
I don't know. It was so weird. But before we get into all of that, let's break down this bracket. So this past week, we were going to have all four semifinals technically, if we really want to get into it. So we were going to have all four semifinal matches on Dynamite and Collision, this week. So 2 on Dynamite, 2 on Collision. Then tomorrow night on Dynamite, it's a fatal 4-way to determine who's going to be facing Kenny for the international championship at Dynasty. So looking at the bracket for Dynamite this week, it's representing the U.S. It's Orange Cassidy taking on one of our Mexico representatives, and Hechicero of CMLL.
Right.
So I was like, I love Hechicero. They're not going to let him move on.
No, Cassidy's got to move on to the Fatal 4-way. He's one of the few people you want to be working that.
Yeah, absolutely. Then, of course, we also have what we're getting and talking about right now, our wild card pick versus, Mexico's the Beast Mortos. Then on Collision later in the week, it would be Fury Ciabatta Bread taking on Trevor the Vampire, aka Ricochet. And then in a surprise matchup, when I found this bracket, was Mark Briscoe, makes sense, versus Mark Davis.
It is the battle of the marks. And Mark Davis, the only person involved in that cage match who was probably in the best nick to actually perform tonight.
That is very true as well. Also, shout out RJ City's episode with Mark Davis. I had a kick of it so much. Mark Davis is wrestling dad joke funny. I love him so much.
Check out AEW with RJ City. Drop a comment in their thing saying how much that you were sent there from us, from the Biconics Wrestling Podcast. Let them know where you came from, and we'll see what could open up. Maybe we get RJ City, otherwise known as Future London Lightning, on our broadcast somewhere.
I would love that so much. Listen, my dream is to meet RJ City, but it's also my dream to have a conversation with Renee as well. I was like, girl held a whole podcast during pandemic, and it was great to watch.
But if you do that, just don't do it with both of them there, because I think you'll be in the middle and you won't talk.
That is very true. I'll be in awe of both of them. But we do find out who our wild card is, which this is the worst kept secret because they played a vignette for him. For him, because I have to remember pronouns. But him a couple weeks ago. And our wild card is the debuting Mike Bailey, aka Tom Cruise's cousin.
A man who definitely tries to wrestle in no shoes and therefore gets all the stomp spots on his feet.
Yes, all the stomp spots on his feet. As soon as I saw this, I was like, I love you, Mortos, but pack your bags. It's over.
Mortos was not winning, which is so sad. All the luchadors in this were not moving on. It was just ridiculous.
No, so I like this match a lot. This is not the first time that Bailey and Morthos have worked together. I saw it in TNA, and I saw it throughout different independent promotions too, because they're both just so damn good. I will be honest, though. I think that Mike's biggest struggle that's going to be him is that the AEW is okay with the way that he delivers promos, because he's very zen and even keeled. I am used to it, but I know AEW fans are not. So
Yes, they are, though, because they've got Orange Cassidy, who's on that same level, which, again, they're going to face each other in the next round.
Yes, because Speedball Mike Bailey beats Beast Morthos and moves on as the first participant of 4 in our Fatal 4-Way coming up tomorrow night on Dynamite.
Are we going to have a promo off between the two of them? They can out-zen each other?
Oh my gosh. I actually would kind of be here for it.
Yeah, a little bit. That'd be fun.
But I'm happy to see Speedball on this stage. I am excited to see what... Listen, there's a lot of people I want him to fight. Obviously not right now, but down the line, I need a rematch between him and Will Ospreay.
Yes, that's coming once Ospreay actually heals his hip, obviously.
Yes, which we'll talk about him in a little bit.
Or do we get a Kyle Fletcher Speedball Mike Bailey match down the line?
I just want Bailey versus everybody on this roster. I'm not even gonna lie.
Bailey versus Trev. Not
yes.
a bad reach.
Nope, that'd be great. Speedball, I'm glad you're here. You won, so congratulations, my friend, and a very fun debut. And then the funny thing is that as soon as this match was over, he left to go to do other independent shows later that night.
Yeah, he was booked. That's what it is.
He is booked and blessed. Him and Veda Scar are like one of my favorite couples out there right now.
Yes.
So good. Anyways, so good job. Yeah, this was great. I loved it.
With the mullet. So the cracks are forming again. They are finally pivoting again to not having Killswitch around to be able to get this moving. Let's break him up. Let's get Christian on his own. Let's see where he goes. If we get the heel team of Cope and Christian,
CNC connection.
Be Christ with the C. That wouldn't work. So no.
Oh my goodness. But the cracks are forming. Nick Wayne is pushing back. Mama Wayne is on the fence, and Kip Sabian is looking gorgeous as ever.
Kip, go back to Penelope Ford.
Yeah, I need them back as a duo. Just have them be a duo and fight people. It's great. Also, it is okay to put Kip on commentary. He was so damn good.
But we are seeing finally movement in the patriarchy. And you know what? That makes it 1,000 times more interesting than the Death Rider stuff.
That is very true. This was also more interesting, unfortunately, than this.
Oh, my God.
Well, at least the first half of this. I'm like, MJF, you say the same thing all the time, and I have nothing else to add to it. Literally, it's the same thing. Until this moment.
Someone coming out to do business doesn't need Bobby or Shelton to do it, makes him an offer that, you know what? I'm intrigued. There's a part of me that while I would love to see Max take on the Hurt Syndicate and have to go up against them for stuff, him joining for a while might be really interesting.
It would actually be really great. And it would give his character right now a little bit more dimension.
Yeah.
He just came out of this program with Hangman, so this would be something very interesting and potentially fun for Max to join up with the Hurt Syndicate.
And remember, he can still play up the whole thing of he doesn't want friends, he doesn't want anything else. He's been burned too many times. So this is a business relationship. He wants to hurt people. He's allowed to hurt people now.
Yeah, because why this Hurt Syndicate?
We hurt people.
That lives in the back of my mind just as much as Whose House. And also, oh my God, is that Private Party?
Yeah, well, we know that for you. But I will say this, MVP, pretty stellar, getting stuff going and leaving Max kind of speechless for a bit of it there. I'm enjoying that.
I am too. I'm like, Mr. Montel Vontavious Porter, you are doing fantastic, and I love it. And AEW, please do not drop the ball on this, because you have me hooked and intrigued.
They will. Anyway.
So we move on. Max Caster open challenge. Takeshita answers, beats the bricks off him in less than a minute.
Well, and Caster tries to get out of it. He tries to
yes, he does.
Bribe his way out.
And Takeshita punches him for his troubles and wins. The end.
Yeah, elbow right to the face. And you know what? Max Caster's making the most with what he's stuck in, the role he's stuck in right now. Will this lead anywhere? Probably not, but it'd be nice to see if something would happen.
Right. The audience is entertained, so I guess it's doing. There we go.
Good to get Takeshita on there after being thanked by Omega as well.
Yeah.
Why did you put this up there? We don't have to talk about this.
We don't, but I'm showing the picture because Jericho cuts a promo backstage. I guess him and Bandito are not done. That is all I have to say about this. I'm like, what in the Shakespearean is this?
Wonderful. Move on. Thank you. Awesome. Great.
Yes. Now we talk about women's action.
Muscle mommy action.
So I'm mad that we didn't get an official placard, but Tony Khan, we're going to talk about that later, but we get Willow Nightingale and Penelope Ford in an actually really great match. I'm just mad it was less than 10 minutes.
Same here. It was really well put together, and Penelope was doing amazing stuff with Willow. I was so excited to see her back on the ring.
I'm telling you, people forget how good Penelope Ford is when she has the right person to work with.
Well, but she got stuck in that kind of Scarlet Bordeaux mold where she was eye candy for a while, forgetting that she and the Bunny had an amazing tag team forever and were really hard workers. Shout out to the Bunny being on Mystery Wrestling last month. That was great.
I love Bunny so much. But Willow Nightingale does pick up the victory, but it is short-lived because there is a chair shot. I'm like, P. Ford, I love you, but that was such a weird chair shot. That is okay, though.
There's been a weird rash of weird chair shots, starting with a Thunder Rosa botch, and from there. Like, what's been going on with that?
I have no clue. But Chris comes in for the save. Megan Bain chokes her out. Like, what I love is it gives us two different things for everybody involved. One, it continues to show that Megan Bain is that girl and she will choke you out and fight anybody. At the same time, though, are we seeing the beginnings of a Willow and Chris like restoration arc of their friendship?
Or does Chris come out and second Tony during the match Dynasty?
That is also very true too. There is a good crop of women involved in this whole feud with Megan, Penelope, Chris, Willow, Thunder, which we'll talk about during Collision. And then I think those are the 5 that should be around Tony right now.
Yeah, we need to set more in the orbit there, not just one at a time.
No, so I am intrigued with all these women. We have it's crazy that 4 of them are all involved in like a story, which is wild to say.
Let's see if this continues to have momentum afterwards. That's all I'm hoping.
Yep, that is the important bit. Which then, speaking of women's action, backstage, Mercedes, too many belts.
Why are you hurting Billy like this?
Okay, so I have a theory, but let's talk about this segment. So Mercedes talks about, defending her being the greatest TBS champion, like she says before, and all in her belts. And Billy, is looking to be the next person. Of course, Mercedes doesn't take her seriously.
No,
we know that Billy is going to face Mercedes probably within the next month or two. But here's the thing. I ultimately think that we will get Billy and Mercedes at some point within the next month or two. I ultimately think that whatever happens in ROH, I think because Billy's been missing from ROH, I think they might call up Athena at Y'all In to take the title from her, which would be stupid.
It's time to do it. She's been down there too long.
I was like, listen, I love Athena. She is my forever ROH women's champion, but we gotta let somebody else run with the belt. Girl, you almost had it for 2.5 years at this point.
Yeah.
We're reaching levels of Roman Reigns. I'm bored of this championship.
Well, and it's time. It's been time for a bit, but it's time now. And especially they're seeding it with Billy being here because Billy either is calling in the cavalry and not taking it herself, or she's going to try herself and have to be saved by someone. And then are they calling them up together and then setting Billy on a track of being the cannon fodder and still not winning anything else?
I hope not. Listen, Billy has a long career ahead of her. She is like 20 years old. Like, I love her. She is great. I just don't like we're feeding her to Mercedes right now.
Well, no, the worst is you look at like how they're portraying her. It's like when she debuted where she's kind of that naive, a little bit like thing, not even counting in their own promotion. She's had wars with Athena for 2 years.
And also not to mention too, she has connections with girls in Stardom. Like, we've seen Billy go international in her career so far too. Yeah. And we know she can fight like a Joshi girl. Like,
she is a Joshi girl. I'm sorry.
It is very true. So I don't know when we get this match. Am I looking forward to it? Possibly, only because I like Billy. And Mercedes doesn't. Yeah, Mercedes.
Yeah, no, we're not going to go there because we'll get in trouble if we do.
So yeah, we'll keep moving. The Mrs. was mad at Will Ospreay, but he made it up to her with a nice dinner. Also, he's probably going to be resting up for a little bit.
It wasn't a nice dinner. He said something else.
Well, listen, we're trying not to get demonetized, okay? I know what he meant, but I can't repeat it.
We're just quoting him.
Tony Schiavone, though. I was just like, sir.
75-year-old Tony Schiavone.
Anyways.
Look up how old he actually is.
You know, while you do that, so this was a very long promo. I love you, Will, but we did not need all this. But the important thing that came out from this at the very end of your promo is that you are looking to enter the time of April, May leading into Double or Nothing season.
Right.
So I'm like, oh crap. So Will has announced himself for the tournament, just like another Kiwi / Australian person and Mr. Switchblade Jay White. I was like, as much as I love Will, I need this man to win something because he has not done anything of note since coming to AEW.
He has not. To get back to you, Tony Schiavone is actually only 67. JR
Damn.
is 73, but he's 67, 5 kids. Just craziness there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes.
So Will and Switchblade announced themselves for the tournament. I'm like, I smell the final. Just kidding.
I would be okay with that, with the on display talent that would be there.
Please let Jay White do something good. I want good things for Jay White. Yes. That is all I have to say.
We all do.
We're going to get a round 2 down the line. That is all I have to say. That is all this was.
It really is just we're keeping the irons hot in the fire there. Aggro Page will be back.
Him and his mustache. Main event time. I looked at the thing. I was like, damn, we're only going to get 10 minutes. Ugh, rude. I was so mad. I was like, we could have just did that instead. But it is what it is. Echiseto, I love you, the alchemist of CMLL, but Orange Cassidy does pick up the victory. Speedball Mike Bailey comes back out. We have a bit of a stare down between Orange and Speedball, and that is how Dynamite goes off the air for this week. Overall, I will say the pacing was a little bit weird for Dynamite this episode. I enjoyed myself. I don't think this episode was as bad as what people make it out to be, but it's a lot of setup for quick setup for Dynasty, which is happening very relatively soon. So I'm like, we're in the quick turnaround phase. The next 2 weeks or so is just building matches to matches to matches. So we got to keep going.
Matches.
So we move on to AEW Saturday night. So
we won't get struck for that.
Nah, it's fine. It's all good. So we kick things off with our third qualifier match for the Fatal 4-Way happening tomorrow night for the International Championship #1 contender spot, because we have Mr. Katsuyori Shibata Bread himself representing Japan in Katsuyori Shibata, and Trevor the Vampire in Mr. Ricochet representing the US.
I was very surprised at it, and very surprised they let them kind of cook for a bit.
I was like, this is great. This is fantastic. And of course, Ricochet wins with the assisted foot on the ropes, and the ref did not see. The ops are going to come for Trevor, and I'm kind of here for it.
Yes, indeed. I'm really kind of like, what else could they do with it? We have a good group of folks that can beat him up.
It will be fun. So, fun match. Loved it. Was great. Oh. God, this was also so damn good. She's like, Megan Bain, what fan fiction did you come out of? I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
I also love that Luther is in the dark in the background too.
Of course, looking like a Bond villain.
So good. But this is a pre-tape where she reiterates what she said on Dynamite, but she name drops a couple girls. She's like, I'm here to fight anyone and everyone in this division, whether you be Thunder Rosa, Megan Bain, Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale. She's ready to fight everybody. I'm like, yes, this is what I need. And now that we've put to bed Mariah and Tony chapter 1, I'm ready for Tony to start fighting some other women. I'm excited. This is fun. This made me excited.
Yeah, I'm ready. I am so ready for this.
Tony, you are my favorite women's wrestler ever right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. Like in a couple of years, we're going to talk about like this period of wrestling and her character, like paving the way for future girls down the line. It's going to be crazy. I love it. Yes. Oh, wait. Okay. So Hobbs has a match, wins said match because it's him versus Griff Garrison, which I was just like, and I know where this is going, but it's nice to see Griff on television.
I was going to say, I've seen movies that start like this that I probably can't talk about on here.
No, not yet. So remember how earlier in Dynamite we were talking about where we go with Powerhouse Hobbs? This, unfortunately, is probably what we're getting, and I'm not the biggest fan right now. Not of this team up, because this team up is crazy, and I love it.
This is ridiculous. Hobbs has been stuck with a bunch of people that I just love that he's with and he's having fun with, and hopefully this builds him up for later just so that he can go on a tear by himself.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm here for it. However, Hobbs beats Griff Garrison. They are now known as the Frat House over on ROH. So they come out, and then the Outrunners, even the odds, and we might be getting Hobbs and the Outrunners versus the Frat House.
Which, honestly, what I want to see down the line is the Frat House versus Private Party, because it's two places you'd have two bros getting into.
I mean, that would work well, because right now on ROH, as you probably do or do not know, JVO, the Frat House is Griff, Cole Carter, because, Maria's no longer with the company, which sucks because I actually like Maria managing those two. I do miss the Mama's Boys too. RIP to the Mama's Boys. So there's those two, along with Preston Vance.
They're actually using him for something.
And unfortunately, Jack Jameson, who is like the mouthpiece for this group. I'm like, ROH, you did not learn your lesson.
No, I will say this. If he's wrestling, if Jack Jameson is wrestling all, then they haven't learned their lesson. He can talk. Let him talk. Let him do what he wants, but just don't let him wrestle.
No, leave that to Preston, Griff, and Cole, honestly.
Yes.
So, but
yes,
hey, I'm here for Hobbs.
The frat boys or the frat house versus the Outrunners and Hobbs. Powerhouse runners.
Yes, powerhouse runners. And please let it stick for a little bit because I'm mad that we didn't get more of the FT runners.
I know.
So mad. Anyways.
Or the like any Outrunners like trio they've gotten going have been amazing. So who knows?
For reals. Love it. They're great. No, Megan Bayne is no fool because she's about to put these girls on notice. So she attacks Thunder Rosa during an interview. And Thunder is now holding her ribs. So I was just like, Megan, the Megasis is not a fool. She about to fight you no matter where you're at.
Oh, the Megasis.
No, your boyfriend's going to have an interesting April, Megan Bayne, by the way. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but I will be tuning in to watch.
I will. Yeah. I don't know how he's actually even standing because he can't move his arms. So either way.
So Megan, we'll talk about you in a little bit. Pleasantly surprised. I like this match. I really did.
It took Mark Davis to get Mark Briscoe back on track. Let's just put it that way.
Literally, Mark Davis had to wrestle Dad Briscoe to get back on track.
Yes.
But
good
great.
First round match. Showed that both could go. I'm going to really enjoy how the next level gets into that fatal four-way. We'll see how that turns out. But,
Yeah, Davis wins, which I'm not going to lie. I was very shocked. As soon as I saw Briscoe, my brain went like, Briscoe's probably going to win this. No, Daddy Mark Davis picks up the win here. And I'm just like, yo, this fatal four-way tomorrow night is actually going to slap because it's Mark Davis, Ricochet, Orange Cassidy, and Speedball Mike Bailey. I'm like,
notice they got rid of all the brown people except for
I mean, you have to have that one black friend. Anyways.
The token black friend that's in the four-way match.
He literally is token.
Also, where is everybody from technically in this international tournament? We've got at least 2 Americans, 1 Aussie. So luckily it wasn't 3 Americans.
And a Canadian, because Speedball is Canadian.
Couldn't get a Mexican in there?
I'm just saying, you literally had hologram right there if you really wanted to.
Mark Davis versus the Beast Mortos. Come on.
Yes. Mark Davis can go. Like, I don't care what Jesse says. I really enjoyed that survival of the fittest at Final Battle. And Mark Davis showed up and showed out. But that's because he was in the ring with some pretty great people.
Indeed.
Yeah, but Mark Davis wins. You are moving on to the Fatal 4-Way. I'm excited for that tomorrow night on Dynamite. Squash match with the Murder Machines. Murder Machines wins. Yes, that is all.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say to you at this point. They're just squashing people left and right. That's what they're there for.
I don't know what's taking forever, but the collision course with the Hurt Syndicate has to be coming. It has to be.
They're waiting for MJF to get involved so they can have somebody with that. I don't know.
We'll figure that all out. Swerve, I love you. This was unnecessary, even the angle afterwards. So Swerve comes in, basically states that he's going to be keeping his eye on this street fight tomorrow night between Cope and Mox. And it doesn't matter who walks out as champion because he's going to take that title from Dynasty. And all I can say, Swerve, is save us from the Death Rider story, which then prompts Moxley to come hit him with a crowbar.
Go figure.
Yeah. Nothing more.
There really isn't. Like, it's straightforward for most of Collision at this point, setting up for this week's stuff. They're in that early stage where they've got 2 weeks to go. It'll be interesting to see this week for both Dynamite and Collision how they add on to what they've set up, basically, is what I'm looking forward to.
Yep, absolutely. This was a fun match. They took on, I'm trying to remember who they took on, because I think it was Tico and a couple other folks. It was like an amalgamation of some weird people.
I'm looking it up right now.
I did the report card for this, but it was also a very long Saturday night. So while JVL checks this is what I really want to talk about because Tony Khan.
They battled that with Shane Taylor Promotions, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. The Infantry and Shane Taylor.
Yes, the actual good people in the Shane Taylor Promotions.
I'm just kidding.
If you were shocked by that, I'd be surprised.
No, they haven't done with anything with Lee, and it makes me sad.
Yes.
It makes me very sad. But Tony Khan, don't be a coward. Book this.
Tone F.
I don't know what's going on with Harley, why she's here, but I'm not mad. Like,
No, this was amazing. It's
I
hologram,
was,
Harley Graham.
I was like, is Beast Mortos falling for Harley Graham?
Wouldn't you?
I mean, yeah. I think Harley has come such a long way because I know that I didn't see her in the best of light when she first got here,
No.
but she's been working her ass off, and her match against Mercedes at Grand Slam Australia. I mean, I grew to love her even way before that, but I'm just like, I'm here for Harley. I'm excited to see where her career goes in AEW.
We're all enjoying it because she's having fun. She's found the fun in wrestling versus trying to force herself to be the funny one in all of those groups.
Right.
And that's what's wonderful.
I'm so glad she got away from QT Marshall and Crow. So literally that is what saved her. I'm not even going to lie.
Oh, 100%. You're right.
So I'm glad. I need this love story like right now.
Beauty and the Beast.
For reals.
Morto. Do it, cowards. Oh, God.
Another great match.
Really?
No, not really.
This
was okay. But it also doesn't help that we still only get 10 minutes.
That I agree with. That. But the thing is, it just didn't seem to get into gear. Like there was a lot of like calling in the ring and a lot of back and forth that didn't seem to be working. And I don't know where that's coming from because both of these women can go when set that way. I mean, the scuttlebutt online is that there's something up with Thunder because she's had such a up and down couple of weeks. But I don't know if it was Thunder's fault this time. And she was playing up the whole like rib injury at the same time, which wasn't really helping her. So.
No, I just wanted more time because I agree with you because I felt like it didn't get anywhere. It didn't get revved up to the next level. And maybe like 15 minutes would have done that, but we got to stop giving women only like 10 minutes.
I was going to say even 12 might have helped. An extra 2 minutes just to kind of get somewhere.
Yeah. Mega Bane wins to nobody's surprise.
Yep.
I mean, we're continuing to build her up. And what sucks is this was the semi-main event. I was kind of mad.
And yet like, couldn't have made Tony versus Mariah the semi-main or main event on the paper. This is what
we're still not going to let that go. No, Tony Khan.
Not many people.
No. And I love that even people like Simon Miller is like, maybe Mariah and Tony should have main evented. And even Chris Van Vliet, like even everybody on the internet kind of, it's a weird place. Usually the IWC on the digital spaces is always on fire. But I love that everyone agreed on that part that Tony and Mariah should have main evented a Revolution.
It is so rare to see so many disparate identities in the sphere all agree about one specific thing for a major promotion.
Absolutely. Which does bring us to the main event. And JBL, you might get mad at me, but this was my favorite match with the Collision episode.
I'm not surprised. Let's put it that way. I'm not mad at you. I'm just not surprised.
So in the main event, we have round 2 of FTR versus the Undisputed Kingdom, which is being represented by Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong. These 4 are fantastic individually, and this match was an absolute banger. FTR win.
It's 2019 again, is it? Like, or 2022, something like that? I don't know.
I mean, pretty much. Basically, I was just like, what am I watching here? This is like giving me shades of
black and gold.
Exactly. So oh my gosh, what was it? I think it was like the reverse from the high-low into the shatter machine. Like, oh my gosh, that was a thing of beauty to see. FTR win. They don't go to shake the Undisputed Kingdom's hands. Cat is caught audibly saying they are 1-1. I'm like, Tony Khan, do not book this for television. Give it to me at Dynasty. Give me like 25 minutes of these two going at it one more time.
This is your match.
Let this open Dynasty. I am here for this. This would be the perfect match to open up Dynasty. But I have no notes. I really enjoyed this. This was my favorite match of Collision.
Oh,
listen,
I can't fault you on it. I love them and I love what they're doing there, but this was wasted on a Collision. This should have been on a Dynamite.
That is very true. Dynamite is also where most of the on and poppin' matches happen anyways, but I will forgive that if we get the final rubber match between these two teams on
Nasty, as we're calling it. Nasty.
D-nasty. But that's going to bring us to the end of our AEW All Elite Ensemble review.
Not the worst week for AEW. I was engaged. I had fun. Could have been a lot better, but in general, it was worth watching, at least for most of it. I didn't watch all of Collision, unfortunately, but yeah, you know what?
Yeah, that part, but you know what? I think it's going to be a good match. And unfortunately, we are getting the street fight for the AEW World Championship, so that's main eventing, unfortunately. So 2 out of 3 is not bad. And then Collision's getting weird because of March Madness. They're breaking Collision up into like 2 1-hour episodes. So called Slam Dunk Saturday and Slam Dunk Sunday.
It might be fun, though. I think that might be a cool thing to break it apart.
Which, you know what, an hour of Collision might not be bad. Probably what's going to headline on Saturday is the TNT Championship rematch, where everyone is banned from ringside between Danny Garcia and Adam Cole, baby. And then on Sunday, we are getting all Lucha Libre in this pairing because it's and Hologram versus Dralistico and Beast. I was like, on paper, that should be great.
If they're given time.
Yes, that is always the downside because luchadors never are given the proper time like they should.
And of course, we get a run-in by Vikingo. Let's hope for that.
Hopefully, he doesn't hurt himself on the way.
Oh my God. Anyhow.
But thank you so much for tuning in to this week's Ola. We will be back next week to cover Dynamite and Slam Dunk Collision as well. This girl, she is now the new minion, so I still don't know how I feel about that, but that is all. But that's for a different conversation. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully the whole trio will be back next week. Professor's not going to have a choice. I will drag him by his little ginger beard and to get his butt back in the seat to do this.
I may or may not be here. It will depend. It is tech week for my kiddos before we open next Friday. So
I'm going to open the portal. We're going to send you in and then we're going to drag Professor out. He owes me.
He does, yes, indeed.
But that is going to be it for us here. So from myself, JVL, and the rest of the BC Wrestle Pod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. Catch us the remainder of this week for amazing stuff with NXT, CMLL, and TNA. But until then,
thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.